Even though we've been on this planet for thousands of years, we're still a long way from knowing everything there is to know. Occasionally we uncover something that has been hidden or buried for hundreds or thousands of years, and it transforms the way we look about our own history. Here are some genuinely extraordinary recent discoveries that have put new light on the past. People who go looking for buried treasure. Treasure hunters are used to discovering most items in the dirt. But Swiss geologists were taken aback when they found this bronze hand. They enlisted the help of other specialists from around the world. They had no idea what it may symbolize or represent. It has been carbon dated to 2000 BC, although nothing like has ever been discovered from that time period. It's too beautifully built to be a prosthesis, and nothing about the skeleton or the gold jewelry found buried with it suggests it was. Given any other clues, logistics' best estimate is that it's a symbolic substitute for a hand. The buried individual may have suffered loss throughout his life. Archaeologists excavating in a cave in Barrow Island, Australia, uncovered a discovery in the summer of 2017 that alters all we know about human occupation in the nation. Initially, it was thought that Australia's indigenous inhabitants, the Aborigines, landed on the area some 47,000 years ago. Yet, there are evidence of charcoal, hunting tools, and an animal within the cave. Its discovery was delayed by at least 18,000 years. It was thought that people would arrive on Australia's soil, was responsible for driving out most of the native animals that lived there. There is evidence that animals and humans coexisted for thousands of years. Anybody who spends their time digging in the earth may produce remarkable discoveries, not only scientists. That's what happened in March 2011 to miner Sean Funk in Alabama. Funk was an experienced miner who had seen his fair share of fossils and curiosities, but nothing quite like what had made him. That day, he shut down his machinery after feeling his bucket hit something heavier than the surrounding rock. Funk took a closer look and noticed what appeared to be brown rocks with a pattern of what appeared to be stone discs on the back of each one. They were not stones. These were dinosaur bones, and Funk had uncovered a new species. The newly named Dinosaur was a massive armored plant-eating reptile that had most likely been dormant for 110 million years, waiting to be unearthed. Normally, when fossils like this are discovered, they are flattened, but the circumstances within the mine preserved them in absolutely immaculate form. When we think of stone circles, we generally think of the ancient English monument of Stonehenge. The massive boulders there have been in place for thousands of years, and no one knows how or why they were initially placed there, whether as a calendar or a temple. A timepiece. People are just as interested in speculating about it now as they were hundreds of years ago, and we still don't know the answer. Kazakhstan is now asking the same questions after discovering an ancient stone circle of their own near the town of Okhto. A metal detectorist amateur archaeologist in 2010 discovered a silver saddle. He notified the authorities, and a complete excavation was ordered, exposing an old stone carving with enigmatic symbols and figures. Nobody knows for certain, although it is believed that the place was created by fleeing Huns. The Roman Empire fell apart about 1,500 years ago. The water generally reveals its secrets at some point. In the case of this historic Greek trade ship, it just takes time. It has been waiting for almost 2,400 years. This wreckage, located almost a mile beneath the surface of the Black Sea, is officially the oldest undamaged shipwreck ever discovered. The Black Sea Maritime Archaeology Project discovered it after examining the terrain beneath the ocean using specialized equipment for a long time. The wreck has been taught to professionals since it is so perfectly preserved. Lots of information about how ancient ships were built, including twin rudders, rowing benches, and a more complex mast design than our forefathers expected. We may have been more evolved than we realized. Forget everything you've ever thought about bread. Bread and beer are estimated to have been developed by humans some 10,000 years ago, during the start of the agricultural age. We now know what happened. Carrying on for a lot longer to stone fires were recently unearthed at a location in Jordan's Black Desert, thought to have been a hunter-gatherer encampment. Researchers studied the contents of the fireplace and uncovered indications of a crude unleavened bread based on wild grain and tubers. On top of that, study on several stone monuments belonging to another Natufian has revealed that the site goes back at least 14,000 years. Tribe was discovered 150 miles west of the original location, indicating signs of wheat and barley, the Natufian, who were eating bread and drinking beer thousands of years before anybody else. The first rule of Ninja Club is to not discuss Ninja Club. That is the primary message of a 300-year-old pledge discovered recently among documents presented to a Japanese university in the late 16th century. Until the oath is signed by a ninja named Inosuke Kazu, the records have been preserved but never catalogued or analyzed. Given that we've merely discovered the paper, he thanks his ninjutsu master for his instruction and promises never to reveal the secrets of the martial art for retribution by 60 gods for generations. Now that he has met his word, the rest of the docs amount to a how-to manual for becoming a ninja. The archaic way, they are all now available online. If you want to try training yourself to be a ninja, on a lucky day, you never know what you could find using a metal detector. Detectorus, you might entirely alter history. Mike Smith was on vacation in Wales when he discovered a Celtic burial cart concealed under the ground one day in 2018. He quickly alerted specialists, but was told that he must be mistaken because Celtic graves had never occurred in that region. Yet, the pros arrived and were astounded when they earlier discovered a full-sized Iron Age village buried underground full with Celtic relics. The Celts were thought to have occupied Ireland, Scotland, and parts of northern England, but never made it that far south as Wales. We can now say for sure that they spread farther than we thought. 2018 was a fantastic year for new discoveries. We also discovered Tania, an old lost Trojan city. This was constructed entirely by inmates. It is a vestige of the massive historical Trojan War, which began when Helen, the wife of the king of Sparta, disagreed with Paris of Troy. The location is in what is now Turkey. Tania was created by individuals who became prisoners of war, but it appears to have evolved into a prosperous trading town over time. This is based on the large number of Roman coins discovered there, as well as quality ceramics and game dyes, all of which indicate a bustling market town. The city is said to have been functioning from the 4th century BC until the end of the Roman Empire, although it was gradually abandoned when Troy fell and the Romans moved on to Greece. Stonehenge is no longer the most mysterious ancient site in Britain. Another bigger circle is 20 miles away from the famed spot. It was discovered about 30 years ago and was assumed to be from the same age as Stonehenge. However, recent advancements in carbon dating processes have been able to prove that it is actually 800 years older, dating back to around 3300 BC. The remains of the circles are still visible, as is much of the thick wood, which experts believe would be set on fire to create a vast burning circle. Nobody knows for sure, although it might have been used in a ceremony. The Zhonghu archaeological site in China has previously supplied us with a wealth of information about early human culture, but it outdid itself in 2017. The Neolithic site yielded weaving tools, bone needles, and silk proteins, indicating that silk weaving occurred at the site 8,500 years ago. It was formerly assumed that humans' flax fibers were still widely used in clothing. Silk weaving was assumed to have begun little more than 5,000 years ago, but this was plainly incorrect. Tradition has it that silk commerce originated at Jehu, which is located on the famed Silk Road. Jehu, a trading route that shaped the world's commerce thousands of years ago, is also the location of the world's earliest playable musical instrument. The Inuit have been hunting bears since the birth of civilization, passing down the traditions and stories of bear hunting from generation to generation in the form of myths and legends. One of those stories concerns the king bear, a giant beast equivalent to Bigfoot in Western legends. It was believed to be a charming story, but nothing more. A 1,300-year-old bear skull has been discovered in the ice of Alaska. It's the largest bear skull ever discovered. It's also larger than any other species of living bear, which may be consistent with the Inuit king bear, which is reported to be 12 feet long and slender body, traveling with incredible speed across huge areas of the Arctic that have never been explored. Might they still be alive? We knew that Usatya existed since it was mentioned by name in several ancient Roman sources, but no physical proof of where it had stood could be found, thus an archaeological examination in southern France was required. The vanished city was discovered by coincidence before a school could be erected on a proposed site. Researchers landed on the site and researched and discovered that Ossetia was populated from 100 BC to roughly 700 AD. However, it appears to have lain empty between 200 to 300 AD for no apparent reason. Why are a series of stunning mosaics representing animals the focus of the exhibition? They were popular Roman embellishments, but they were not widely used until roughly 200 years ago. It appears that it was a city ahead of its time after the period of Ossetia. Nowadays, we take the number 0 for granted. It simply signifies the absence of anything, yet the invention of the notion of zero is one of the most significant mathematical breakthroughs in human history, since it produced a symbol for nothing and change. The radiocarbon dating of the Indian Bash Kali text, which has been in the UK since 1902 and is filled of zeros, has dated to about the year 300, roughly 500 years earlier than previously assumed. But other civilizations have their own symbols to denote emptiness. We all know that the emergence of zero as a dot on the manuscript marks the commencement of the zero sign. subscribe to the channel and enable alerts to be the first to know when a new video is released. Thank you for viewing, and I hope to see you again soon.